Hola, scientists. It's great to see you on this wonderful Tuesday. ¿Cómo están todos? That's great to hear. Oh, that's one of our senses. Do you remember the 5 senses that we talked about yesterday? Ooh, some do and some don't. I have an idea. To review what we learned, I'll point to my senses, my 5 senses body parts, and you will all say what sense I'm referring to. I'll do it 2 times, and the second time, I'll say the senses while I point. Are you ready to review with me? A ver, let's see. I heard some scientists get all of them right. Let's go ahead and say them together this time. Sight, smell, sound, taste, and touch. Muy buen trabajo, scientists. We talked about these yesterday because scientists, us, use the 5 senses to make observations. An observation that I made about yesterday is that we don't have a question to guide us this week. I was thinking our question could be, how do scientists make observations? Do you think this question will help us learn more about making observations as scientists? I sure hope so too. I know one answer to this question is the 5 senses, but scientists, I'm not really sure if we understand how to do that quite yet. Yesterday, I asked you all to search and find an item to observe during our time together. I hope you found an object because it's going to help us answer our question, how do scientists make observations? Ayer, I had shown you a 5 senses chart that I made for bacon, and now we're going to make our own. In order for us to make our scientific observations, we will need a piece of paper, a pencil, an item to observe, and coloring tools, but those are optional. I do have a question for all of you before we continue. We will need 2 more tools in order to make these observations. If we are using our senses of sight and touch today, what additional scientific tools will we need? Eso, you got it. The scientific tools that we need are our eyes and our hands. Let's all take a moment to make sure we have our supplies. My hand. Bueno, I'm ready. Before we dig in and make our observations, we have to set up our chart. My bacon chart had 2 columns, one for the senses and the other to write your observations. You can use a ruler to make straight lines, but that's optional. Please follow along with me while I make my chart, and make sure to leave a little space at the top for a title. Scientists, let's count how many boxes I have in each of my columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 boxes for the 5 senses. So now that we've drawn our 2 columns, we can label the 5 senses boxes. Since we're using our sight and touch to observe today, let's just draw those different body parts. In one box, I'm going to draw an eye, and in the other, a hand. So the eye for sight. And a hand. I'm gonna draw a cartoon hand with just 4 fingers because 5 fingers are hard to draw. Great. You know, I made a space for the title and I almost forgot to write it. We're going to write blank 5 senses chart. Senses chart. And we'll each write our different objects in the space. Today, I chose to observe a lemon. What item are you going to observe? Ooh, sounds like that will be a great item to observe. Since I'm going to be observing a lemon, my title is going to be Lemon 5 Senses Chart. What is your chart title going to be? Interesante. Some of you as scientists are observing the same items. What a coincidence. Well, let's go ahead and write our titles so we can get started. I want to use orange. Even though lemons are yellow, the yellow is hard to see. Lemon 5 senses chart. Buenísimo. Let's start our observation, scientists. We'll start by using our eyes. When we are using our sense of sight, what are some things that we can observe? See, we can observe the colors, any differences like spots, the quantity, the shape, and many other things. Let's all take a moment to use our sense of sight to observe our items. And I'm going to fill out my chart while I observe. That way I don't forget my observations. You can also fill in your chart as you observe. Okay. So the lemon is yellow. It's shaped kind of like an oval. Ovalish. And it has a lot of little spots. Well, I guess they're more like dots. Little dots all over. And on the sides, it looks like it has a belly button. I think you could call that a white spot. White spot on one side. Cool. Well, let's keep moving on, scientists. We'll go over what we wrote after we finished making our observations. Let's move on to our sense of touch. We need to use our hands for this one. What are different things that we can feel when we're using our sense of touch? Wow, so many descriptive words. I heard some scientists say rough, smooth, bumpy, squishy, wet, sharp, hard, and many, many more. Let's go ahead and take some time to observe our items. If you have a food item that can be cut open or peeled, try doing that and see if there's more to observe. So it feels kind of rubbery and smooth. I'll write that. Rubbery. Mostly smooth, I should say. And when I touch it, it dries my skin. I guess I could say it feels kind of dry. Dry. It's kind of slippery at the same time. How weird. I wonder why. Oh my goodness, scientists. Look how many observations I made. Were you able to get down all of yours? It's okay if you didn't. Now that you know how to use your sense of sight and touch like a scientist, you could finish this on your own later. Let's check out what I wrote on my chart. So when I looked at my lemon, it looked yellow, ovalish. It had a white spot on one side and had little dots all over. When I touched it, it felt rubbery, mostly smooth, dry, and slippery. Did any of you make the same observations, but with different items? Isn't that interesting? What was the most interesting thing that you noticed about your item? Ooh, that's really cool. I really want to continue making interesting observations about my lemon, but I realize that we're running out of time. I really enjoyed using my sense of touch and sight with all of you today. Tomorrow, we will use our ears, noses, and mouths to make more observations about our same items. Please try to save them for tomorrow. If you can't, please be sure to get another of the same item. I can't wait to see you all then. Nos vemos.